A very good noon to all of you. So I think the session that I took yesterday evening, I am still hungover that. Right. So I welcome you to this session. Good noon. Today we'll talk about parajumbles, right? Yesterday we talked about grammar and vocabulary in our last lab session. If you have any queries regarding that, you can ask me, right? Any grammar question that was not clear, any vocabulary word, its usage that was not clear to you, you can ask me. Okay, the focus today is exclusively on parajumbles because they did appear in your exams last year, right? And they appeared across the slots. So that is why we are going to look at various types of parajumble questions that actually appeared last year, right? Good afternoon, Disha. Hi, Sarah. Hello, Prakash. Good noon, Naira. Hi, Shabaz, Gaurav, Mohan, Shreya. Hi, Shubham, Rajput, Jeez, Vanshika, Mohan. Welcome to the session. All right. So all geared up for parajumbles? So let's have a look at what all came last year. If I look at 2022, we had parajumbles that were of odd sentence type. So they were not simply your sequence parajumbles. 5 sentences were given to you. Out of these, 4 belonged to a paragraph. One did not. You had to spot just that one sentence. So these are easy question types. Okay. Then slot 2, on the other hand, had 4 individual parajumble questions. Okay, so 5 sentence parajumbles, individual. So the usual type, the usual MCQ parajumbles, right? And today we are going to look at this. We are going to look at individual parajumbles. We'll also look at a set of a parajumble question where you have 5 to 6 questions in a set. Right? We have seen this set in our 100 most expected series as well, right? So in case you want to practice more such sets, you can refer to those sessions. Okay, good noon. All right, parallelism. No, Vasudevan, I haven't taken any special dedicated session for parallelism. Right. Manaswini, we cannot say that. We cannot predict that. We have to see. Okay. I think it should be section wise. Uh, Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Surbi Bisho. Yes. So let's practice these question types. The first question is here on your screen. It's a 5 sentence MCQ parajumble. Try to be a little speedy. Make use of clue words. Take out clues from the beginning, the initial few words. Let's see who answers the fastest. Yes. Okay. I've got my first answer. Okay. All right. So B, mostly B's. I've got one D also. Okay. Others, okay, I've got one E also. So one B, sorry, a lot of B's, one D and one E. All right. So I want more responses. Come on, first question for the day. I want all of you to be enthusiastic. Yes? All right. So let's have a look. Now, this is an easy parajumble question. Let me state this at the outset. Okay, the level is easy. Now, here we say, if you find this cynical, but very few know. So we have clues here. We have grammar-based clues also. This plaque, okay, which plaque? The plaque that talks about this, right? So 5 should come before 3, right? The moment you realize that 5 should come before 3, You can eliminate. So when you have options, make use of options, right? Eliminate using options. Follow the mandatory pair approach and keep eliminating as you go. Right. Then both of these are talking about the Apollo 11 mission. This looks like an introductory sentence. So 4 should come before 5 and 3. Right. So C is also eliminated. We are left with these two. Now, if you see, in 2, I say, if you find this cynical, if you find this to be negative, then let me give you another example, right? That's what we are saying. Then let me tell you that in 1789, one such humongous blunder was committed. One such, a similar blunder. So that means 2 should come later. So it should be 41532, right? So this is how you eliminate. So keep eliminating as you make your sequence, as you make your mandatory pairs. One other thing is that you can glance at the options, just glance. Don't solve completely through the options to see which is the opening sentence if you're able to gauge that through the options. So for instance, here I didn't get much help. All I could gauge was that, okay, one is definitely not the opening sentence. The others could be. So take this rudimentary help, make mandatory pairs, keep eliminating, and you are good to go. All right. So I hope this is clear to everyone. Let's go to the next question then, if this is clear. So when you say that I don't understand or repeat, you need to be very specific. You need to tell me what you want me to repeat, what you did not understand. Okay. Otherwise, this is a very vague thing to say. Okay. Set 2. All right. Disha, this does not follow. I'll solve it also once we complete this. C, D, E, all right. So this time a little more diverse responses. I see a divergence here. Okay, D or B, all right. So again, see, there are, as I say, there are clues. And a lot of times the grammar-based clues are pretty reliable. So we have she here, we have Kelly here, she, right. It came, what came in a football field? Some gesture, right? Like a male athlete might do. What? Like a male athlete. What might a male athlete do? She asserted the right of a woman to own the moment of victory and celebrate it as she wants to, like a male athlete might do. Moreover, it's in the second sentence only that we actually name the person who's doing all this. So, to is in a way introducing the person here, whereas then when we talk about she, we refer to this person Kelly. So, to should come in the beginning, right? Then one. So, what should be the answer then? Should it be B? Should it be D? It is D. Delhi. Look again, and Kelly was also making a statement on behalf of women pursuing professional sport. So here I introduced two ideas. See, if you want to go for a theme-based clue here, understand this. She was making a statement on behalf of women in sports, pursuing professional sports. So what statement did she make? She showcased the free-spiritedness of a woman athlete, so a woman pursuing professional sport, right? So this is the statement that she made, showcasing the free-spiritedness, theme-based connection. Okay, then what exactly did she do? How did she show this free spiritedness? She must have won, and she owned that moment of victory. She celebrated in the field. That's what she did. So then 3 elaborates this further. So how did she show this free spiritedness? Like this: the right of a woman to own the moment of victory and celebrate it as she wants to, like a male athlete might do. It is particularly refreshing and symbolic that this gesture of hers came in a football field in England where women's football had been banned in stadiums from 1921 for 50 years. So this comes at the very end, okay? Because we are talking about this gesture. All right. So D Delhi is the answer. Okay. So there was a syllogism question that was asked earlier. Let's just solve that as well as we go. Right. So this is our question. Some sales are target. Okay. Then our premise 2 is uh, no target is a goal. No target is a goal. And our conclusion is some goals are not sales. Some goals are not sales. What do you say? This is the question. Does the conclusion follow? Why was 4 not the beginning? Okay. All right. So meanwhile, you solve this syllogism question. Fourth. So fourth, Yogita, it says that it came. What came? When you have other sentences that are actually defining this it for you, that okay, this gesture is what we are talking about. Shouldn't we first talk about the gesture and then say that it came in a football field? This gesture. Right? So we will first talk about the gesture and then we'll comment on that gesture that, it's really delightful that this gesture came in a football field. Right? That's why. Okay. All right. Now, some sales are target. This is how we'll draw it. Okay. I hope this is visible to you. Oh, wait, let me draw it here. Some sales are target. Then I say no target is a goal. So that means goal or target का relationship है आपस में. Yeah. Goal does not have to touch target, but it can touch sales, isn't it? It can touch sales. So I can draw goals here as well. I can draw goals here as well inside sales. And if I can draw it inside sales, then can you say some goals are not sales? No, I have just shown all goals are sales here. So this is invalid. Does not follow. Make sense? So, when you attempt syllogism questions, think of these circles as dynamic. Don't think that this diagram where I draw goals separately, this is the only possible diagram. No, goals just has a relationship with targets that it cannot touch this circle, but it can be anywhere in this circle. It can, cover it partially. It can be fully inside it. That can happen, right? So, some goals are not sales is false. Perfect. All right. Reading and grasping pages with so much time pressure in CET. See, first of all, it's not that you have, I understand that, it's a speed-based exam, but you do get time for your Parajumbles and RC passages if you manage time well in your vocabulary and grammar. That's why we tell you that, save time in vocabulary and grammar. If you attempt those, if you get stuck in those questions, that is when you will be short of time. And as I said, make use of the options, right? So for instance, here the options told me that 3 and 3 cannot be the opening sentence. So right away I eliminated it. Then I tell you, I've talked to you about this, a vertical scan, looking at the initial few words. They give me a lot of clues, right? So like a male athlete might do, this definitely is related to some other sentence that comes before it, right? So 5 also cannot be the opening sentence. Then it is only in this sentence that I'm naming this person. So probably this is the opening sentence. So I have a lot of clues here to go to actually solve this speedily. Right, Ame? All right. Perfect. Let's go to the next question then. Set 3. Yes. Yes, please listen to Neha. See, 45 seconds to 1 minute is something that you need for an MCQ parajumble, right? If you get individual parajumbles, 45 seconds to 1 minute is something that you do need for it, right? So try that you solve your vocabulary and grammar questions in about 30 seconds at the most. Some vocabulary questions and some grammar FIVs will take you about 20 seconds. So save time there so that you can devote at least a minute here, right? 45 seconds में तब solve होता है जब बहुत easy parajumble हो, right? Okay. B, E, C, D, all right. But I've got a lot of E's and a lot of B's too. Okay, let's have a look. Um, okay. They mostly remain, all right. Then it would not be fast. So basically here I get just this one clue that 3 is not the opening sentence, and that doesn't really help me a lot. Then I also know that 4 is not the opening sentence. So I'll read 1, 2 and 5 first. Okay. The names of Fehmida, Riaz and Parveen Shakir readily come to mind in this context. In this context. That means probably 1 is also not the opening sentence. I have established the context probably in some other sentence. Let's look at 2 and 5 then. So see, uh, most likely B is also not the answer. Contrary to the common view that people hold of Pakistani society, women writers there have spoken out fearlessly and uninhibitedly about their life experiences, attaining near celebrity status. 2 most likely comes before 1 because 1 is giving examples of these women writers, isn't it? So now that you realize this, 2 comes before 1, probably A is also not the answer. 5 says, it would not be far from reality to say that women writers often do not get the recognition that they deserve in their own right. Now, this is about women writers, while this is specifically about women writers in Pakistan. Again, most likely 5 is going to come before 2 and 1. Okay, so most likely even E is not the answer. I am left with just these two. Okay, then if you look at 4 and 3, they are also general. 2 and 1 are specific about Pakistan. Yes. So this is the sequence here: 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Because we'll first have this general discussion and then we'll have this specific discussion. Moreover, 4 and 3 form a very strong pair. How? Here we say that this our gender biased society offers them space that is just enough for them to mark their presence. So that means the space that they're allotted is not a lot. If this is our page, then this is the space that they're allotted. Okay, just enough space for them to mark their presence. They mostly remain on the margins. They mostly remain on the margins. So it's related to the space that we were talking about. So 4-3 is a pair here on the basis of the theme. You get it? So C is our answer here, not E. All right. So if you see, okay, some of you must be thinking, why not 2, 1 first and then 5, 4, 3? Because in 5, 4, 3, I'm establishing what is the norm, right? And in 2, 1, I am giving some minor exceptions, okay? That, okay, within this norm also, there do exist some exceptions. So, for instance, the women writers in Pakistan, they have spoken out fairly and uninhibitedly about their life experiences, even though their society is again patriarchal. So, 5, 4, 3 first establishes a general thing, a general norm, and then 2, 1 sort of gives some exceptions to it. Okay, perfect. So C is the answer. So please rely on a combination of theme-based and grammar-based clues. Grammar-based clues are pretty easy to spot. Okay, they, such, she, etc. Okay, and I do not recommend that you don't read the entire sentence. No, that's not how it works in a postgraduate level entrance exam. You will have to read the entire sentences. Okay, just by reading the first few words, you can't completely solve a parajumble unless it's an extremely easy parajumble, right? So C is our answer. Okay, let's go to another set then. Set 4, again a 5-sentence parajumble. Let's see what you say. Okay. I've got some responses here. E, D, A, B. All right. So this one does require some thinking on your part. Okay. Let's see what the answer is. Um, See, first of all, again, some structure based, grammar based clues help you. We should do this, we should do that, right? Seems like they might be related, right? Then, when pre colonial, so if you read the entire sentences, you realize that this entire discussion is about the adjective pre colonial. Epithet is a term that is used to describe someone, something, a word, an adjective that you associate with a person, or a title or a sobriquet that you give to that person, right? And usually epithet is used in a negative sense. So for instance, if you assign a bad adjective to a particular person, that's called an epithet. Now, we should expunge forever the epithet pre-colonial or any of its cognates, any of its various forms. Okay, pre-colonialist, pre-colonialism, those will be the cognates, or any of its cognates from all aspects of the society of Africa and its phenomena. Okay. Then it three says we should banish title phrases, names, and characterizations of reality and ideas containing the word. Again, a grammar based clue. So, of course, I'm talking about pre colonial. One comes before three. So, right at this stage, I eliminate D and E because one comes before three. When I say the word, it refers to pre colonial. Okay. Then, if you see, this is a suggestion that the author is giving. The author is proposing something. When we give a suggestion, we propose something. To those who might be put off by the severity of the proposal, which proposal? The one that the author has just given us in 1 and 3. Okay, that we should banish this, we should expunge forever, we should just stop using forever. So, to those who might be put off by the severity of the proposal, so I know that 5 comes after 1 and 3, right? So that's why C also gets eliminated. It's actually A versus B. Okay, now the author says that, those of you who think my proposal is pretty radical, please hear me out. Hear me out. Then the author will explain it to you, why he or she is saying this, that we should stop using the word, right? So if you see, 4 is part of that explanation, isn't it? That when pre-colonial is used for describing African ideas, processes, institutions, and practices through time, it misrepresents them. So 4 is a part of an explanation, and therefore I realize that 4 should come after 5. I am not sure of the sequence here. I am not saying 1 3 is a mandatory pair, 3 5 is a mandatory pair. No, I'm just writing the order here. So once you realize that, even B goes out of the window. A is our answer. Okay, 1, 3, 5 will come together. First, the author gives a suggestion. Then the author says that if you think my proposal is radical, please hear me out. I have some explanation for it, right? So the author then says whenever we use such words, okay, they do not really have any role to play in our attempt to track, describe, explain, and make sense of the African life and history, right? And in fact, they misrepresent them. These terms, particularly the term pre-colonial, misrepresents African life and history. So 13524. A is the answer here. Good, those of you who guessed this. And this was a moderate to difficult question because there were some difficult words here that you had to make sense of. Okay, so good, those who marked A here. All right. Okay, experts suggest this. All right. So A is the answer. Now, odd sentence parajumble questions. These were your individual 5 sentence parajumbles. Now we come to the easier part, right? Because here you do not have to form an entire sequence. You just have to find out that one sentence that does not belong, right? So let's see. This is your question here. Trying to add points after saying hear me out. Yes, so that's what the author is doing, Mandar. So the author will, no. So when the author says the proposal is radical, if you think the proposal is radical, which proposal? The means that the author has mentioned that proposal earlier. Okay? Hope this clarifies it. All right. How many questions? Around 5, 6 you can expect. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being such good cheerleaders. Random, Ame. Yes, please like the session. That's all that we ask of you. Okay, I've got my first response also. Naira says A. All right. Sejal says C. Yes, Yogita, you're absolutely right that through mandatory pairs, we can easily eliminate various options. Saurabh, I'll answer this. Let others first answer this question. Don't be in a hurry. Some of you are marking this very quickly. Have you read all the 5 sentences? C, okay. All right. So A, C, D also I've got. B as well. Okay. So I see a lot of divergence here. Okay. So first things first, please read all the sentences in such questions. Okay. Now, can it also tell us anything about the real and profound emotions connected with great science? What? Let's see, probably. Other sentences will explain. But it is the greatest literature that has sought to come to terms directly with human emotions. Okay, the greatest literature. Um, Literature has told us about war, adventure, love, the monotony of everyday life, political intrigues, blah, 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 blah. Okay, literature has told us about a lot of things. So, uh, if you see, C is probably, I mean, A is probably related to C. Can it also tell us? So, it has told us so much. Can it also tell us something about science? And then this says, of course, it can. Literature is full of science. So C, A, E, definitely they've become a part of the paragraph, right? I am left with B and D. D says the greatness of literature lies in its capacity to communicate the experiences and feelings of human beings in all their variety, affording us glimpses of the boundless vastness of humanity. So, in fact, D is something that can come before C because we tell it because in D I say that it tells us so much about about so many experiences, so many feelings of human beings. So what are these feelings, right? Love, monotony, adventure, okay, experiences, war. So D is a general idea. C then exemplifies it. Then we say, can it also tell us something about science? And then we say, oh, of course it can. Literature is full of science. We are not talking about the greatest literature or the not so great literature here, right? We're not comparing literature here. So it's just about the fact that it can tell us about feelings. Can it also tell us about science? That's the theme of this paragraph. Hence, it is B Bangalore. That is the odd sentence out. Okay. So good, those who marked B. I think the first B that I got, the first conclusive B was from Yogita. Good, Yogita. Okay. Then Hitesh, Ame, Saraswat, Neha. Good, good, good. AC. Good. Sachi also said B. All right, perfect. So please read all the sentences as I told you, and while you do not need to make an entire sequence, you still need to make some mandatory pairs because that's how you'll eliminate, isn't it? Okay, let's see this one. Okay. All right. So Nandini, I haven't made the paper. My guess is that it will be section wise, but that's all about it. It's a guess. Okay. So good. I'm getting one dominant response in the chat box, and that response is correct here. It is E, that is the odd one out. Because if you see, we are talking about some professional academics and how they're looking back to distant moments in history as a guide to political action today. Okay, so looking at history as a guide to political action today. Thanks to their immersion in the sources, they feel at home in these moments in a way that most people do not, right? In a way that most people do not. It is also natural for radical academics to focus their energies on the way that structures of domination continue in the present rather than on the progress that has been made against them in the relatively recent past. Right? So it's also natural for radical academics to focus on this idea. Now, if you see, we are left with C and E, which is what this C versus E is what I saw first in the chat box, right? Now, if look at E, attributing the setbacks principally to the sinister structures of domination, which I just talked about in B, that when we do this, that we say that some setbacks have happened to us, principally to the sinister structures of domination, eclipses the dynamic contingent role of actual politics. Okay, so what setbacks are we talking about here? Yes, attributing the setbacks. Which setbacks am I talking about here? So the setbacks, they have not really been defined here, isn't it? And that is why, that's the only reason why C becomes the odd one out here. You marked E principally. Okay, no, E is not the answer. It is C that is the answer here. Principally, I think a lot of you marked E. I understand. I absolutely understand your marking E here because this feels like a very specific instance, Jim Crow, right, Black Americans, that here we are talking in very general terms and suddenly this is so specific. So I absolutely empathize with you here. But when we say attributing the setbacks, which setbacks am I talking about? Because see, before this, I talked about distant moments in history. They don't have to be setbacks, right? Then before then if I look at the immediately preceding one B, they are focusing their energies on the way that structures of domination continue in the present, so structures of domination are discussed here rather than on the progress that has been made against them here against refers to structures of domination. So the setbacks is not really clear. Which setbacks am I talking about? Probably some instance of, let's say, racism, some instance of gender inequality, some instance of something wrong. That should first come and then we can talk about C. Hence, C is the odd one out and not E. All right? Does this make sense to you? This is a tricky one. Are we clear with this? I need to know because this is a tricky one. Okay, I need some yeses, then only I can proceed. Otherwise, what's the point? All right, all right. Okay, then let's come to the next one. So, our next question is again, this is a parajumble with 5 sentences, and one sentence does not belong to it. Easy question. Yes, let's see who answers the fastest. Sejal says not understood. Okay, let's go back to it for a while. Uh, so I understand that the moment you read this parajumble, you realize that while A, B, and D, they make sense, right? A, B, and D, they make sense. It is either C or E that is the odd one out. Because in the chat box also, this is what I saw. The first response said C, then one said E, then again C, then again E. So I could see that C versus E going on in the chat box. Now, a lot of you then said E, and as I said, I totally understand your marking E because E talks about a very specific instance, that of Black Americans, that of Jim Crow, that of the era of slavery. But if you see, this example is related to B. Okay, let me explain it the other way now. Why E belongs to the paragraph? E belongs to the paragraph because we are talking about the fact that, see, these radical academics, they are focusing on how still structures of domination continue. And they do not focus on the progress that has been made against them in the relatively recent past. So then the author gives an example that, see, everyone knows this, that the conditions of Black Americans, they have improved. Progress has been made against them in the relatively recent past. So they have improved in many ways since the days of Jim Crow. So while Jim Crow was an era of structural domination on Black Americans, progress has been made against it in the recent past. Okay, and in fact, from the era of slavery, the condition has improved tremendously. So E is exemplifying the author's point that, these radical academics, they tend to focus on their energies on domination rather than progress. So E exemplifies that, and C on the other hand talks about some setbacks. Which setbacks? I do not know. Okay, and then I need some discussion about these national parties, grassroots movements, etc. first before I can actually make this statement. ठीक है? All right. Hope this is clear. How he is connected, this is clear now. I think I'll skip. Okay, Prajakta. If let's say after a minute or so you feel that you have not even narrowed down to two options, then for the time being you can skip that question. Attempt your other questions, go through the other sections, and in the buffer time that you've kept, okay, I'm sure all of you will keep some buffer time. Then you can come back to such questions. Okay. All right. ठीक है. So sub test series section wise है, so is there a chance it will not be section wise? बच्चे, the chance is low, but I can't predict it accurately for you, okay, how it is going to be, because CET has been full of surprises, okay. So most likely, again, this is my hunch, my opinion that it should be section wise, but मैं आपको अभी 100% guarantee के साथ नहीं बोल सकती if you want that from me, okay. All right, let's have a look at set 7 then. Chalo, let's see what you say about it. ठीक है निशा, ये वाला मैं हिंदी में भी बता दूंगी. Okay, so Viral has answered the fastest. Good, Viral. So, good question, Karthik. I'll answer this. Let me just look at all the responses once. E, okay. Is it? Can E be the odd sentence out? Those who are saying E. Isn't E the opening sentence? It is B. Clearly. See, we are saying that we are trying to cut greenhouse emissions. Okay, so greenhouse gas emissions. These emissions come from greenhouse gases, and carbon dioxide is not the only greenhouse gas out there, right? Right? There are other gases also. So, in the world's effort to cut greenhouse gas emissions, the source of our food is coming into the spotlight. The source of our food is coming into the spotlight. Okay. What is the source of our food? Yes. The source of our food. How does photosynthesis happen? Photosynthesis makes use of carbon dioxide, okay, and plants release oxygen, right? So oxygen is the output, and the input required is carbon dioxide. So source of our food is coming into the spotlight, and there is good reason for that. There is good reason for its coming into the spotlight. Agriculture accounts for 16 to 27% of human caused climate warming emissions. That is why it is coming into the spotlight. So, but there is a catch here. But much of these emissions are not from carbon dioxide. Much of these emissions are not from CO2, that familiar climate change villain. In fact, only 4% of climate changing emissions in agriculture are from carbon dioxide. So, CD is a mandatory pair, EA is a mandatory pair. B, humanity has tipped the Earth's nitrogen cycle out of balance, very unrelated to our agriculture discussion, our food discussion that is happening, okay, and unrelated to the CO2 discussion. So it was a very clear cut odd sentence out, okay. So now you asked me that how to manage if my paper tomorrow is day after tomorrow is not section wise. See, the strategy then is that you attempt questions as they come to you. Okay, so I'll give you an example. So for instance, if the first question that comes in front of me is a parajumble, okay, so I would attempt this parajumble question, right? Then the next question that comes in front of me is an LRDI set. Let's say a set based question comes. Now if you've decided that okay, you are going to attempt all the LRDI sets together, then let's say you can leave question number 2 to 5 and then jump to question 6. So set based questions, you can decide when you want to attempt them. For the other short questions, now if the next question is vocabulary, I'll attempt it, then grammar, I'll attempt it, then let's say it's a quant short question, I'll attempt it. That's how I would go about if the paper is not sectionally distributed. However, I'll keep my set based questions. So if I'll probably attempt my RC passages later on after attempting my vocab, grammar, etc. So short questions first, sets probably later. That would be my strategy. If let's say on the, I mean, this can vary for students. If you're very good at LRDI sets, okay, so you might choose to attempt a set first. Okay, so अदरवाइज मैं ये सजेस्ट करूंगी कि शॉर्ट शॉर्ट क्वेश्चंस पहले कर लो, ठीक है, उसके बाद जैसे अगर एलआरडीएस स्ट्रॉन्ग एरिया, सो गो फॉर एलआरडीएस सेट्स, देन यू कैन गो फॉर आरसी पैसेजेस. That's how you can do it. Okay, if you feel I can't read at the end, towards the end I can't read, then after attempting all the short questions, go for RC passages first, then go for your LRDI sets. So it's up to you that way. Okay, so that should be your strategy if let's say the paper is not sectionally divided. Okay, now let's have a look at set 8. Meanwhile, I'll read your other queries and I'll answer them after we are done with this question. So focus on this question here. Some lengthy sentences, so that's why you'll need to make sense of it. Yes. Then Meenu, in that case, I'll go for the one that is out of context in case such a question comes. Okay, I've got D Delhi here. All right. E. Okay. Others? B also I've got. No, okay, mostly D's and E. Okay. All right. So this one can be tricky. Why? Because there's a lot of information that's packed in various sentences and there's a historical context to it, right? So, in such a case, even if you do not know what is happening here, just try to imagine, okay? Try to build a picture in your head. So, what I did was when I solved this, I realized that, okay, a massive evacuation effort is going on. We are trying to evacuate people. So, and who all are we trying to evacuate? A massive evacuation effort to ferry civilians, soldiers, and equipment back to safety via the Baltic Sea. So, we are trying to evacuate these things. Then I read B, and B said German soldiers seeking a confrontation with the advancing Soviets. This seemed at odds with the idea of evacuation effort going on for them. Either I can try to run away, either I can try to, evacuate from a place and run away, or I can seek a confrontation, coming face to face with the enemy. So A and B contradicted with each other. Okay, so therefore I sort of felt that probably one of them is the odd one out. Then I read further. By the time the Soviet Union advanced on Germany's Eastern Front in January of 1945, it was clear the advantage in World War II was with the Allies. Okay. The fall of the Third Reich was by this point inevitable. Berlin would succumb within months. That means Germany was on the side that was getting defeated. इतना समझ में आ गया बर्लिन इज द कैपिटल ऑफ जर्मनी तो अब कुछ कुछ तो मुझे चाहिए राइट सम कॉन्टेक्स्ट हियर इज नीडेड so Germany is the one that is getting defeated. Okay. So how was it clear that the advantage in World War II was with the Allies? Through this, that Germany was on the verge of defeat. So CD makes sense together to me. Among the German populace, so now see the German populace is scared. Okay. The German people, populace is the population. Among the German populace, stories of rape and murder by vengeful Soviet forces inspired dread. The specter of relentless punishment pushed many living in the Red Army's path to abandon their homes and make a bid for safety. So E and A are connected. It is B that is the odd one out here. Okay, because German soldiers would not seek a confrontation with the advancing Soviets. So I just built an image, a picture in my head. Trust me, I'm not that good at history. Okay, so even when such a niche parajumble comes to you, you can navigate through it by just understanding the words, by making a relationship between the words. Theme based clues here helped me. Does it make sense to you now? This was again a tricky one, okay, not an easy one. So I showed you some easy odd sentence out questions also and some difficult ones also today. Okay, can we move ahead? Oh, no need to be sad. One question that you attempt wrong here is one fewer question that you would probably attempt incorrectly in the actual exam. That's how we should think. Okay. All right, then. Let's go to the set-based parajumble question. A set-based parajumble is your usual parajumble question itself, just that the examiner wants you to make a sequence and then the examiner separately asks you, okay, which is the sixth sentence, which is the fourth sentence, which is the second sentence. That is what makes it a set. Sometimes the examiner can also ask a vocabulary question. So let's say there is a difficult word in that paragraph. So a vocabulary question can be framed from it. Sometimes the examiner can frame a grammar question from it. So that may happen. So in case you feel, let's say if there was a set based question based on this previous one. Now you felt in the exam that see sequence to mujhse shayad nahi banegi iski, probably I'll not be able to make a sequence from it. Then also give these vocabulary and grammar questions a shot. Okay, that is some marks scored. All right. Chalo fir. Let's go to the set based question. So in this question, you yourself have to form a sequence. No options are given to you. And later on, then I'll ask you questions such as, sorry. I'm so sorry. Answer ही दिया हुआ था इसके बाद. I'll later on ask you questions such as, what is the second sentence? What is the sixth sentence after rearrangement? ठीक है? So let's see what you say. And if you feel I need to hide myself, I need to be invisible, you can tell me. Last question set for the day. Make a sequence. Okay, okay, you have to make a sequence here. Make a sequence and tell me the sequence in the chat box. I want a whole sequence. All right. Okay, your E is missing from your sequence. Okay. All right. Ajinkya, what about F? Okay, I've got one correct response so far. Hmm. Let's see if someone else has also answered correctly. No, one correct response so far. Who is that one person? So, Astha, your sequence is correct. Good, good. These Korean hearts for you, right? Let's see. Uh, why the sequence is. So a lot of you, I think, have this confusion that D should be the opening sentences. That's what I got in the beginning, that D is the opening sentence for sure. Yes. However, if you see, we are talking about air quality here. We don't mention air quality index as such. Air quality index discussion comes here in F, right? So first I'll talk about the 10 US locations, okay, and then among these 10 US locations we have Seattle, we have Portland, etc., etc. So E should definitely come before F. This is something that all of you must have gauged. And EF, which looks like a strong pair, it looks like a mandatory pair. In E, we do not discuss air quality index. It is only in F that that discussion of air quality index has appeared. So I can't write it like this: D, E, and then F. Okay, because abhi E mein then why am I not discussing air quality index in E? If I've written D here, it should be this: EF and then D. E, F, D, all right. Uh, then, if you see, we talked about Portland here, right? That Seattle has an air quality index of 207, Portland 204, led large cities on the list with air considered to be very unhealthy. Okay, now the question is, see, here we talk about Portland situation, here we talk about Oregon situation. Now, it could be this way also, that I first talk about Oregon, then Portland, on and vice versa. But if you see, the discussion then is about Oregon, that on Thursday, then a warning was issued, and this included Portland metro area also. So, first I'll talk about Portland, then I'll talk about Oregon, and then I'll talk about an advisory that has been issued for Oregon and includes Portland. So this is going to be my sequence, EFD ACB. All right, EFD ACB is the sequence. Some of you got it later on. Good, good, good. EFD ACB. ठीक है, अब आ गया सबको समझ में, YEFDACB is the sequence, and once you've solved this, then you can answer most of the questions in this Parajumble set now. So tell me, what is the sixth sentence after rearrangement? Yes, sixth sentence after rearrangement is oh, okay. F can be the first. Kaur says, why not F? F can be the first sentence. Let's have a look. Uh, no, it says it led large cities on the list. Which list? This list. So F cannot be the first. E has to come before F, right? And E is the topic sentence. This is what we are talking about. 10 US locations experiencing the worst air quality. So E is the opening, then F, and then D will explain, okay, what is this air quality index that has just been mentioned. Okay. All right. So B Bangalore is the answer here, and this is something that's now a child's task. It's a cakewalk. It's a walk in the park, right? So tell me, what is the fourth sentence after rearrangement? Wasim, no. The fourth sentence after rearrangement has to be A. Okay. So now this becomes a very easy question. Second sentence after rearrangement, it'll be F, right? And what is the third sentence? EFD, ACB, that is my sequence. So D is the third statement after rearrangement. So this was the question where we did not have any vocabulary grammar questions, but the added task was that we had to make the entire sequence ourselves. You may get such a question also, where in that set one question actually gives you options regarding the sequences. So it can be an MCQ Parajumble set also. One question will give you the options, will give you multiple choices. You'll have to just select, and after that there will be such questions like third statement, second from the last, okay, third from the last. So that way, and one vocabulary, one grammar question, that can also be a combination. How to spot conclusive statement? See, okay, just a second. First statement is E, right? So this ends our set on Parajumbles. Now see, conclusion statements, a lot of times they can be spotted through keywords, hence, thus, therefore. So look at the transition words or the keywords that we usually use for conclusions. Okay, therefore, thus, hence, etc. Sometimes you will feel that this is summing up whatever has been said so far. So such summing up statements, in a way, they are summaries more than conclusions, right? So a summary can be a conclusion statement, right? Sometimes the author can leave on an open-ended note, okay, that how successful this policy will be remains to be seen, right? So I describe a policy that has been recently introduced and I end on this note. So sometimes it can be such an open-ended statement. So, sorry. So these are the three ways in which you can phrase a conclusive statement. Moreover, because this is just a paragraph, it's not a complete essay. Sometimes it's quite possible that there is no conclusive statement as such. Let's say I am listing the advantages of a policy. So then the last sentence can be the fourth advantage here, right? That's it. So it could just be a succeeding sentence. It doesn't always have to be a conclusive or summary statement. So the point that I'm trying to make is that if there is indeed a conclusive statement, you will spot it easily because there probably will be keywords, or you'll feel this is summing up everything. These are the results of a particular study. Or, after describing a policy, just one comment, one opinion will be given towards the end. Others will be very factual statements. So if there exists a conclusive statement, you'll spot it very easily. If uh, the closing statement is like this, then you shouldn't be very hell-bent, you shouldn't be very stubborn about first spotting the conclusive statement or first spotting the opening statement and then only proceeding. So the foolproof approach is always the mandatory pair approach. All right. Okay. वेलकम गाइज, वेलकम। आई होप सबको समझ में आ गया है। जिनको नहीं आया है, द रिकॉर्डिंग ऑफ दीज सेशंस इज अवेलेबल, राइट? यू कैन वॉच इट once and probably then it will be clearer. So as I said, look for mandatory pairs and don't read sentences repeatedly. Okay, don't, at least not in the first go. In your buffer time, if you have time, you can do this by all means, but not in the first go of the paper. Okay, first round of the paper. So 30-40 strategy, Dia, please elaborate what you're trying to say. Yes, 30-40 strategy. So in my opinion, a good sincere student for whom VARC is a strength should take a total of 40 minutes approximately for the English section, right? The VARC section. Now these 40 minutes can be divided like this: 30 minutes in the first round, then 10 minutes in the buffer round that you have, right? They can be divided like this. What does your 30-40 strategy mean? I need to know that. Usually stuck between two close sentences when it more than two lines and then tricky line. I don't know how to get out of it. This is for Parajumbles, or are you talking about two close options home? So that's a very common, experience that students have, stuck between two close options. So the point is that out of these two close options, you have to see which is more related to my question. In case of an RC question, what is more related to my question? In case of an odd sentence out, you have to see which is more related to the paragraph. Then of course the other one will be the odd one out. In case of grammar, your knowledge helps you, your knowledge of grammar concepts helps you. And अगर वहां पर कुछ भी नहीं सूझ रहा है, कुछ भी नहीं समझ में आ रहा है, then just go for what sounds correct. For grammar, I'm suggesting this. If in case you do not know the concept at all, then go for what sounds correct, mark that. Right? So these are some ways to navigate it. Stick to the RC. Okay. So जो भी closer है, stick to the paragraph in a parajumble. Then mark what sounds correct. In vocabulary, again, if you've narrowed down to two close options, then go by your hunch there, right? If you do not know the meanings of both these options, then go by your hunch. The point is, you do not have to get stuck. That is the biggest mistake that you can do in a speed-based exam. Stuck नहीं होना है. जितना जितना अभी समझ में आ रहा है करते जाओ. If you are doubtful about, let's say, that vocab question, right now mark something, note it down somewhere, okay, or mark it for review, and then later on come back to it, right? Okay. 30 minutes for 40 marks. Okay. So if yes, if you feel I mean, see, for me to say that a strategy works or not, I would be able to comment on it if I have tried it in my mocks and it has worked for me. Okay, there are so many tips, there are so many strategies that are floating around on the internet today. So what I do is I see what works for me in a mock. For VARC, I can tell you this, that in 30 minutes, yes, you can comfortably attempt about 40 questions. बहुत comfortably कर सकते हो आप 30 minutes में 40 questions तो. In fact, I would suggest that 40 plus करो, 40 to 45 questions at least attempt in 30 minutes. Okay, and then the remaining 7 questions that are left, those you can go for in the second round. So for VRC, I can comment this. For other sections, you have to try. If it works for you, it works for you, right? No, tomorrow we have a session, and tomorrow I'll give you just the last minute tips, okay? And what all you need to, the kind of strategy that you should go for in the VRC section, some do's and don'ts for the exam, right? What all you need to carry, those sorts of things. So tomorrow we have that session at 12. Okay, this was the last conceptual session from my end before CET. I wish you all the very best. I know all of you have worked hard. You've been consistent with the sessions, you've practiced on your own, you've taken mocks. So just have faith in your preparation. That's all you need. You are worthy of everything that you wish for in life. Trust me, this is just an exam. You'll crack it. Okay? And these are our upcoming sessions in the last lap series. So do attend these. After the exam, we'll see you for an analysis. Okay, so on 25th and 26th. On 25th, we'll analyze the first slot. On 26th, we'll analyze both the slots. Okay, and we'll discuss with you the difficulty level, good attempts, cutoffs, everything. So do join us after the exam. Okay. Yes, Minu. You can always drop them in the comment section. Okay, your doubts. Kayur, if there is a mistake, then just check what instructions they've given regarding that on the website. If they've asked you to fill an additional form, definitely you have to. Okay, welcome, welcome. Important topics, bache, everything is important. See, vocabulary, grammar, if you ask me, the areas remain the same, no? Vocabulary, grammar, PJs and RCs, these are the four areas that CET questions you on year after year. So these are the areas that are important for you. Okay, at this stage, today, tomorrow, I'll say just revise some of your grammar concepts, revise some of the vocabulary words that you've learned so far. Now is not the time to learn new things, okay? To, in fact, practice a lot of things. I don't suggest that. बस इतना कर लो बहुत है, ठीक है? This is our CAT 2023 comprehensive program. In case you are planning to take it or your friends are planning to take it, then we offer a lot of features in this, right? A lot of live sessions, a lot of recorded sessions, a lot of practice material. So do recommend it to your friends or do enroll if you wish to take CAT 23. Also, we are everywhere on social media, right? Our meme game on Instagram is very strong. And Facebook also we are present. Telegram also we are there. I hope you've subscribed to the channel and you've liked the session. Also on our app, you'll find some quizzes. So you can take those quizzes for free. Okay, so you can download the app for that. All right then guys, thank you for attending. Welcome, welcome, welcome all of you. Lots of good wishes. All right. Bye-bye, bye-bye. Day before the exam mock, I don't recommend it. However, some students are okay with taking a mock. If let's say you feel that the results won't affect you, then you can. If I were in your shoes, I would not. ठीक है, मैं नहीं लेती. All right. Bye bye guys. Bye bye.